Where do you want to go next in the Central?
Let's do Winnipeg. Let's do a
Winnipeg.
Canadian one.
It's an interesting team.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a team that always seems to find a way to get into the playoffs. They've lost Wheeler, which, depending on who you ask, could be a good thing or a bad thing.
I think it's a great thing. I think Blake Wheeler's nothing short of locker room cancer, and I'm so happy to hear that he's in a locker room like New York, which is so developed and strong already.
Yeah.
Like, this was a team that like Kreider punched someone in the face for being racist, and everyone was like, yeah, punch him again. Like, that's a well-knit team.
Yeah.
That's a good group of boys I want to be around. Like, so I think that it'll be you might get one of the best performances out of Wheeler that you've ever seen.
Yeah.
Just because he'll be able to get out of his own way, because he won't be getting in everyone else's way.
Right. And I mean, like, he's on a much different deal, right? It's on basically league minimum.
Yeah.
That can be a bit freeing for players sometimes, right? Sometimes you have this big contract in your hands, and you're going, okay, well, now I got to be this every night, you know?
The pressure isn't always good for people. Like, some people just aren't built for that, you know?
And there's different kinds of pressure, right? And some work for some people, some don't. And as much as you lose Wheeler and you lose PLD, right? Those are two absolutely killer blows. I mean, Wheeler, maybe not so much, but PLD, absolutely. Your center depth takes a huge hit in that department, but then you look at what they got back, and guys like Yaffalo and Viardi are going to be, I mean, they have Yaffalo listed as a third liner here. I think he'll probably play in the top 6.
I think so too. I mean, like, right now, like, the depth, it is what it is, but like, he's a flexible winger. He can go to the right. It's not an issue.
I mean, I know wingers are not the premier position like centers and defensemen are, but I mean, their wing depth is kind of crazy, man. Kyle Connor, Ehlers, Yaffalo. I will always call him Yaffalo, by the way. I know that's not his name.
Why
Niederreiter, Appleton, Viardi. I don't know. It just sounds better.
Iafallo.
Yeah.
Where he goes, Iafallo.
I just like Yaffalo.
Fair. I mean, like, this will really kind of be one of those seasons that has to go right, unfortunately. Like, you have so many players in this roster that have injury issues already. Ehlers still isn't cleared to actually play. Like, he's still practicing. He's in a normal practice jersey, but he's unlikely to play any preseason.
Right.
Like, Perfetti is an excellent addition to their team.
I like Cole Perfetti for sure.
I think he's definitely going to be a very welcome addition. I like Nino Niederreiter. I think he's getting a little bit old. I don't know if that's necessarily going to be the thing that moves the needle in their top 6.
Right.
If I was in management, I would probably start moving Iafallo to the right, and then just dump Nino down one.
Sure.
And just do a big shake around. Wingers are pretty flexible. I know that guys love to be glued to one side of the ice, but like, it's just the other side. Grow up.
Yeah. Their D group does scare me a bit. Josh Morrissey, Dylan DeMello, Brandon Dillon, Neil Pionk, Nate Schmidt down on the bottom pairing. There's just nothing here that really feels solid. As much as Morrissey like had a good season, put up a lot of points last year.
He had a breakout year, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, but
it's only a breakout if you keep it up, though. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Or it's an outlier.
Yeah.
Was it an outlier is the real question.
And even though he put up a lot of points, he didn't really make me feel like they're secure on the blue line.
No, it made me feel like if he wasn't scoring that day, then it was still going to be a battle to win.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I do like Neil Pionk too. I think the Neil Pionk and Josh Morrissey, are like neck and neck as far as like quality. I think that Pionk's a lot safer. Yeah,
that's very fair. And I mean, you have Connor Hellebuck in net, right? And if he's on, that's a game breaker. But there's some question marks around there too. Is he staying? Is he going? Probably going because it's Winnipeg and no one stays. So,
and he's tired of losing, and this team's still gonna lose for another 5 years. Like, no goalie wants to be the face of a rebuild their whole life. They're
probably gonna lose forever. It's Winnipeg. I'm sorry. No one wants to live there. No one wants to play there. It's hard for them to keep players under reasonable contracts, and Minnesota is kind of the same way. It's freezing cold. I mean, Minnesota has great fans and stuff like that. But you look at, those big contracts we were just talking about with Suter and Parise, you got to pay guys like that. to get them to stay, and it's hard to contend when you have to do that.
Yeah, and I mean, it's hard to get performances out of guys that are worth a while when they hate where they're living.
Yeah, absolutely.
How are you going to show up to a home game with passion when you hate walking out of the house because there's 1.5 feet of snow every other day?
100%.
It sucks.
So, I mean, we both have them outside the playoff picture. I have them at 5th in the Central. You got them at 4th.
I got them at 80 points. Very
got them at
mediocre
83.
season.
Yeah.
I think that as much winger depth as they don't have nearly enough to move anything substantial. I think that Ehlers is still hurt.
Yeah.
It'll probably take him a while to get up to speed.
Yeah.
Scheifele's getting old.
Yeah.
He's done nothing but digress for the last two seasons, 3 maybe now.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think the last time I remember Scheifele being like an absolute power force, like a wagon where I was like, that's my boy.
Yeah.
Was probably pre-COVID.
Yeah, that's fair.
I don't think I've had him on my fantasy team as a keeper my whole life.
Yeah.
My whole fantasy career I've had him.
Right.
And this is the first year that I let him go.
Doesn't that hurt a little bit?
It's pretty weird.
I know.
And then I missed the draft, and I'm pretty sure that auto drafted him back onto my roster anyways, so I just can't get rid of him.
Oh, that's funny.